In 2008, the Supreme Court decided District of Columbia versus Heller. Justice Scalia, writing for the majority, concluded that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to gun ownership for self-defense in the home, unconnected to militia service. There's just one problem. That's not what the founders actually did. The Second Amendment's text explicitly references a well-regulated militia. Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress extensive powers over militias, specifically to suppress insurrections. The Militia Act of 1792 implemented this framework. And in 1794, George Washington used it to crush the Whiskey Rebellion. The pattern is clear. Militia provisions were about government power, not limiting it. But Heller claimed the core purpose was individual self-defense in the home. So how do you explain that many founding-era cities required guns be stored unloaded? Or that some required separate powder storage? Or that some communities used public armories? A gun you can't keep loaded at home is useless for the immediate self-defense scenario Heller described. These regulations prioritize fire safety over home defense because that's what communities actually valued. Heller also claimed minimal regulation was historically accepted, but the founders' generation extensively regulated gun ownership. They restricted who could own guns, where guns could be carried, how they could be stored, and even mandated ownership for militia purposes. These weren't fringe regulations, they were normal. So how did Scalia reach his conclusion? He cherry-picked sympathetic quotes while ignoring actual regulatory practices. He treated the well-regulated militia clause as mere preamble. He cited anti-federalist concerns as if they represented Federalist intent, even though the Federalists won and implemented the Constitution. Most tellingly, he elevated what people said over what they did. The same generation that ratified the Second Amendment continued existing gun regulations, passed the Militia Act, and used federal militia power to suppress armed resistance. Heller didn't interpret the Second Amendment. It rewrote it, replacing 2 centuries of militia-focused framework with a modern ideology of individual rights that the founders themselves never practiced.